Amid continuous days of feeling unwell due to insomnia and headaches, I finally felt sleepy for the first time in a while. As I was sleeping in bed, I was suddenly awakened in the middle of the night by my husband. "Mom has collapsed. You need to come too." Understood. We headed by car to the hospital where my Mill had been admitted. However, on the way there, I communicated with my FIL and learned that I had been deceived by my husband. Feeling a threat to my life, I desperately jumped from the car and ran away. But on the midnight mountain road, there was not a soul in sight, and my husband's car was closing in on me. At that moment, help appeared by chance, and my husband's wrongdoings were revealed one after another. My name is Michelle Smith, a 52-year-old part-time housewife. My husband, Thomas, is 5 years older and works at a company. We were happily living together as a childless couple. But after turning 50, I began experiencing physical discomfort and suffering from insomnia and headaches. My husband seemed annoyed by my condition and started to throw cold words at me. "Hey, isn't that just laziness? It's really painful. The medicine doesn't work." Probably due to menopause, I was mentally exhausted, and an incident that further worsened my situation occurred. It was eerie silent phone calls. Silent phone calls came to our landline many times during the day, incessantly ringing, particularly when I was taking a day off from my part-time job due to body pain. When it switched to voicemail, a low female voice would say such things. "Old hag, get out quickly." When I consulted my husband, he checked the voicemail and said, "There's nothing recorded. Are you neurotic?" But I'm sure a woman's voice was recorded. I desperately appealed to my husband, who was casting a dubious glance, but nothing was recorded in the voicemail. Such things happened a few times, and my husband continued to say I was neurotic. Eventually, I began to suspect that my husband might have been erasing the voicemails. Furthermore, since the caller was a woman, I started to worry that she might be someone related to my husband. One late night, I was suddenly awakened by my husband's voice. "Hey, Michelle, something terrible has happened. Mom has collapsed." Ain't no way. I, who had a light sleep, was surprised and woke up in an instant. Reflexively looking at the clock, it was past 2 a.m. "We're going to the hospital now. You come too." My husband had already finished getting ready and urged me with those words. Understood. I put a jacket on over my pajamas and immediately left the house. My husband had already boarded the passenger seat of the car. "Am I driving?" Sorry, but yes. Actually, I drank beer just now." Sure enough, there was a smell of alcohol from my husband. "In that case, it's better if I drive. Which hospital is it?" According to my husband, it was a hospital located in the suburbs, far from here. It seemed that it would take more than an hour to arrive, as it was quite a distance. While driving the car, I was listening to my husband contacting his parents' house. "Oh, Dad, sorry to disturb you. How's Mom doing?" "Ah, I see. Haha, got it." I heard my husband end the call with my FIL. "What did your dad say?" "He said they're at the hospital right now. Mom is in a daze and not feeling well." "Oh no, that's terrible." "He's accompanying her for the tests, so he won't be able to answer the phone for a while." "Then we should hurry to the hospital too." My in-laws are good people and treat an old daughter-in-law like me kindly. You had escaped from the countryside to the city because I didn't like my parents' business, often relied on my mother-in-law. Worried about her, I drove too fast, and before I realized, a patrol car was behind us. Especially since the patrol car didn't warn us, I naturally returned to the legal speed and continued driving. But my husband was terribly agitated and kept looking back. "Why is there a patrol car? Hey, shake it off quickly. Don't be unreasonable. If we drive normally, they won't say anything. We can't get caught now. Hey, hurry up and escape." My husband, seemingly drunk, shouted with a booze breath and shook my shoulder. "Stop it, it's dangerous." Just then, the patrol car behind us suddenly started its siren. Instructions flowed from the speaker to stop our car. "Now we're in trouble. Hey, why are you stopping?" "Why? Of course I'm stopping. What's wrong with you?" I thought the patrol car probably found it suspicious that my husband repeatedly looked back and reached out to me, the driver. Even considering the situation with my mother-in-law, my husband's agitation upon seeing the patrol car was quite unnatural. As I parked our car on the roadside, a police officer got out of the patrol car and approached. I opened the window, turned off the engine, and prepared my license. The police immediately noticed the smell of alcohol from my husband's breath and became stern. As the driver, I hadn't been drinking, so I complied with the breath alcohol test in the back seat of the patrol car. Of course, there was no problem, but the police asked casually about my agitated husband in the passenger seat. So I explained that we were on our way to the hospital because my mother-in-law had collapsed. The police understood the situation and cared for us, saying to proceed with safe driving as the road ahead is mountainous. Since I was driving, I hadn't been able to call my in-laws, so I asked the police if I could make a brief call and phoned my FIL. He was accompanying the examination, but I thought it would be good to get in touch even for a moment, and my FIL answered the phone. "Phil, how was Mill's examination?" However, my FIL asked back in a sleepy voice. "Michelle, what's going on so late at night?" "An examination. What are you talking about?" It's your Mill's checkup. She collapsed, remember?" "No one has collapsed. Don't say such unlucky things." But Thomas said so." Is that some kind of joke? If it's Mom, she's sleeping next door, snoring. Eyes, is that so? Your mill hasn't collapsed, has she? I'm glad. Got carried away by Thomas, huh? Can't be helped, can he? After such an exchange with my FIL, it seemed I wore a bewildered expression and was asked by the police if I was all right. No, it seems my mill hasn't collapsed. It was a misunderstanding. I told the police that and tried to return to my car. Another police noticed and left the car while chatting with my husband in the passenger seat. The police left, getting into their patrol car and leaving, and although I sat in the driver's seat, I was confused about how to tell my husband about his mother. My husband said to me, looking frustrated, "Let's go quickly. We've wasted a lot of time." The road ahead at this late hour was a desolate country road along the mountains with no traffic and no houses. In fact, no cars passed after the patrol car left, and only my husband and I were left alone on the night road. Now, I realized that I was in a critical situation. My husband, lying that his mother had collapsed, had taken me out, made me drive to prevent me from using the phone to confirm, and was leading me to the mountain road ahead. Even pretending to be talking on the phone with his father in the hospital. I felt it was dangerous to tell my husband that I had actually spoken to his father in this narrow car. I was scared of how my husband, pointed out as lying, would react. However, it was also terrifying to enter the mountain road ahead as my husband said. I inadvertently murmured, "Toilet." Huh? That's right. I'm about to pee, so wait a bit. I jumped out of the car and started running desperately. My husband shouted from behind, "Hey, wait! Don't come! I'm going to pee, so don't come." However, suspecting my desperate appearance, my husband started the car engine. The dark night road was illuminated by the car lights, and the car began to start behind me. I had no escape on a road sandwiched by mountains on both sides, and I kept running, but I could not match the speed of the car. The approaching car lights behind me cast my long black shadow on the road, and seeing this, I was about to give up, thinking this would be the last sight, when an amazing thing happened. A bright red light jumped in front of me from the front. It was the previous patrol car, blaring a loud siren and capturing me with dazzling lights, quickly coming in front of me. I looked at the source of the light with my hazy eyes due to the brightness and breathlessness, and it was the patrol car. A police officer rushed to me, who had collapsed on the spot, and another police officer began a U-turn, calling for my husband's car to stop with a speaker. "Ma'am, are you okay?" "Yes, thank you. But why?" "When you were checked earlier, on your call it seemed your parents weren't down. But your husband told another officer he's in a hurry because your parents have fallen." The contradiction bothered me, so I came back to check. The car driven by the husband, unable to fully turn the steering wheel, plowed into the roadside. Just as they started to flounder, A patrol car blocked their way. Urged by the police with a stern tone, the husband staggered out of the car, and he said with a cringing attitude, "W what? I haven't done anything." Anger welled up in me towards my husband, who seemed to be pretending to be clueless. "Huh? You tried to run me over with the car." "No, you stormed out of the car, and I came to pick you up." "Liar! You lied about bringing me here in the first place." Hey, you're making a scene and it's become a police matter. Don't embarrass me, officer. My wife is a bit neurotic." "W what did you say?" "Stop it. I would never run you over. What kind of delusion is that?" "Come on, officer. You don't have time to deal with our domestic issues. Let's go home." Taking advantage of my shock and loss for words, my husband slyly said this. The police, who had been silently listening, said, "Sir, you're under arrest for drunk driving." Hearing this, my husband's mouth fell open. I was also taken aback, but as I gradually comprehended the situation, laughter welled up. I couldn't hold back and burst out laughing. "Haha, it's funny. Yes, you were drunk driving?" "Eh? No, this is. What's so funny? Your lie about your mom falling is exposed. I know you drank alcohol and had me drive, just to avoid a phone confirmation. But I called my FIL during the alcohol test." "Eck, lying and bringing me to this remote mountain? What were you planning to do?" "That seems to be some misunderstanding." Behind my still pretending husband, his cell phone ringtone was heard from inside the car. I peeked inside the car. My husband hurriedly tried to stop me but was firmly held by the police. The phone screen displayed a woman's name. Suspecting it's his paramour, I turned on the speaker. Then a woman's voice began to speak. "Hey, Thomas, how long are you going to make me wait? I'm waiting by the hole, you know." My husband turned pale and began to tremble. "Esty, stop. Be quiet." "Huh? Your voice is low. I want to bury your wife quickly and go home. Come quickly." The woman hung up. I murmured quietly, "Bury in a hole, so that was your plan." "No, it's a misunderstanding. I don't know that woman." I yelled at my husband with wide eyes. "You really think that excuse will work? You cheating liar. I won't forgive you anymore." Thomas seemed unable to retort any further, collapsing to his knees on the spot. After that, I was taken to the hospital by an ambulance that the police had called. I was examined, found to be uninjured, and was able to return home immediately. Upon returning home, I received a call from the police, informing me that a suspicious woman was found in the mountain areas. She was at the dark base of the mountain, holding a shovel, digging the hole the size of a person. Probably, Thomas and the paramour were conspiring to get rid of me. They must have planned to make it appear as if I had disappeared due to neurosis. Surely, those persistent silent calls were also to mentally corner me. Despite the shock, I felt relief for having fortunately overcome such a crisis, and I was able to sleep soundly that night without any sleeping pills. The next day, I became very busy with various procedures. First, I contacted the in-laws to inform them about the arrest of Thomas, leaving them extremely upset. They apologized tearfully, and when I conveyed my intention to divorce, they agreed. After that, I and my in-laws were called to the police station several times to narrate the circumstances. And the plan of Thomas and the woman was as I had imagined. I decided to request a lawyer for a divorce consultation with Thomas, who was in detention. Luckily, the divorce was immediately finalized through the mediation of the in-laws. The savings withdrawal and the sale of the home condominium was processed. About $100,000 was transferred to me. Also, an apology letter was sent from Thomas through the lawyer. Its content was about being misled by a young woman, but his intent to lighten his sin by reaching a settlement was clearly visible. Even after committing such a big sin, thinking only about himself and lacking in reflection, I decided not to reply. However, since the letter contained information about the identity of the paramour, my lawyer contacted her. It turned out she was unable to pay, so her family had to shoulder the $30,000 compensation. They each received heavy sentences and wouldn't be able to get out for a while. After everything settled down, I decided to take refuge with my parents in the countryside and decided to help with the family business of running an inn. Everyone warmly welcomed me back, the daughter who had fled to the city due to not wanting to train as a young landlady. Every day was exhausting, but doing meaningful work, my insomnia and headaches disappeared, and my health improved with early to bed, early to rise lifestyle. Now I feel fulfillment in revitalizing the family business while being supported by the people around me.